Good morning, all of you. Now we are doing political science, chapter number 4, electoral politics. This is the part 6 of the chapter. And today's topic is what makes elections democratic in India. Or we can say how elections in India are free and fair. So, in this topic, we will discuss four things. Number one, Independent Election Commission. Next, popular participation. Next, acceptance of election outcome and free and fair election. And after that, we will conclude what makes elections in India democratic. So now, most important, first, Independent Election Commission. Do you know what is Election Commission? So, in our country, elections are conducted by an independent and very powerful organization which is known as Election Commission. And the Election Commission enjoys the same kind of independence that the judiciary enjoys. The Chief Election Commissioner, that is head of the Election Commission, CEC, is appointed by the President of India, and once appointed, the Election Commission is not answerable to the President or the government. Even if the ruling party or the government does not like what commission does, यानी जो भी काम वो करता है, if it is not agreed by ruling party or the government, they cannot change them. It is impossible for them to remove the CEC and they need to obey. So it is impossible to remove. Now we will discuss about functions of Election Commission in India, or we can say powers of Election Commission. Very few election commissions in India in world have such wide-ranging powers as the Election Commission of India. Number one, Election Commission takes decision on every aspect of conduct and control of elections. That means each and every decisions related with the elections are taken by Election Commission. That is from the announcement of elections to the declaration of results. Next, in the previous portion, we have discussed about the code of conduct. So that means Election Commission implements the code of conduct and punishes any candidate or party that violates it. It can also order the government to follow some guidelines to prevent use and misuse of governmental power so that they cannot enhance their powers to win elections or to transfer some governmental officials. During the election period, the Election Commission can order the government to follow all guidelines. And when on the election duty, that means the election day, government officers work under the control of EC, not the government. To give in advice to the president on some certain issues. So we can easily understand that Election Commission in India has wide-ranging powers. Even when election officials come to the opinion that polling was, that means the elections was not fair in some booths or even an entire constituency, they order a repoll also. That means दोबारा elections करवा सकते हैं. The ruling parties often do not like what the EC, but still they have to obey. This would not happen if the election commission was not independent and formal. So now to this, we can easily understand that in India, election commission is a powerful and independent institution. Next is popular participation. Popular participation, this can be divided into three parts. This is also the way to check the quality of election process. Is to see whether people participated in elections. If election process is not free or fair, people will not participate in elections. And people's participation in election is measured by turnout. How? Turnout means the percentage of eligible voters who actually cast their vote. Suppose there are 100 students in class 9 and participation in elections. The students who have participated in elections is 60 students. So that means the turnout will be 60%. And if we will study about the turnout in India and in other countries, then we can easily understand that in India, turnout has stable or actually gone up. In Europe and North America, turnout has declined. That in that countries, people don't believe in elections. But in India, still, people are having some faith in elections. They know that their vote makes a difference. Second aspect, that is, in India, illiterate, poor and underprivileged people vote in large portions as compared to the rich and privileged section. This is a contrast to compare with Western countries. If we will see in US, the poor, Afro-Americans and Hispanics vote much less than the rich and white people. But in India, still, underprivileged sections cast vote as compared to upper social class. Common people in India attach a lot of importance to elections. They feel that through elections, they can bring pressure on political parties to adopt policies and programs favorable to them. So that means they believe, they feel that their vote matters in the way things are run in the country. And if you will see the interest of voters in election-related activities increasing over the years. In 2004 election, more than 1/3 voters, that means 33% voters took part in campaign-related activity, यानी publicity में participate किया. More than half of the people identified themselves as being close to one or the other political party. And 1 out of every 7 voters is member of a political party. So all these indicate that still popular participation in election is the sign of democratic election, because they believe that elections are free and fair. That's why they are participating in election related activities also. Next, acceptance of election outcome. That is the result. If the elections are not free and fair, the outcome, the result always favors the powerful. So this is the final test of free and fairness of election. In such situation, if you will see our track of elections result, the ruling parties do not, lose elections and accept the defeat. If elections are not free and fair, in that condition, ruling parties do not lose elections, and losing party does not accept the outcome of a rigged elections. If we will discuss about India's elections outcome, that speaks everything. The ruling parties routinely lose elections in India, both at national and state level. अभी आपके सामने बिहार में बंगाल में इलेक्शंस हुए, वेस्ट बंगाल, and the national parties lose elections, lost elections. Even at the national levels, कभी कोई पार्टी आती है, कभी कोई पार्टी आती है. And what is the reason behind that? The elections are free and fair. Every 2 out of 3 elections held in last 15 years, the ruling party lost elections. Second aspect, in India, about half of the sitting MPs or MLAs lose elections. If elections are not free and fair, so automatically whatever the MPs and MLAs, they will remain in power. They will never lose the elections. But in India, half of the sitting MPs and MLAs lose elections. Candidates who are known to have spent a lot of money or buying votes, and those who are having criminal connection often lose elections. And if you will see, very few disputed elections, whatever the results are declared, it is accepted as people's verdict by the defeated party. Now, last point, free and fair elections. Whatever the points we have discussed, that indicates that Indian elections are basically free and fair. The party that wins an elections and forms government, but in some constituencies, a few candidates may win purely on the basis of money power. And unfair means, but overall verdict, overall decision of a general elections still reflects popular reference. So that means we can easily understand that in India, elections are free and fair, that are democratic elections. And now, challenges to free and fair elections in India. As we have discussed, elections in India are basically free and fair. The party that wins an election and forms government does so because people have chosen it over its rivals. So the competition था, एक जीता एक हारा. This may not true for every constituency. Yet the picture looks different if we ask deeper questions. Are people's preferences based on real knowledge? Are the voters getting a real choice? Is election really level playing field for everyone? And can an ordinary citizen hope to win elections? So still some limitations and challenges of Indian elections. Now, what are the challenges of free and fair elections in India? Candidates and parties with lot of money may not be sure of their victory, but they do enjoy a big and unfair advantages over smaller parties and independents. So that means role of money still play an important role in elections. In some parts of the country, candidates with criminal connection have been able to push others out of the electoral race and to secure the ticket from major parties. This is called muscle power. Money power, muscle power. And next is family dominance. Some families tend to dominate political parties. Tickets are distributed to relatives from these families, like Congress, Nehru family, Gandhi family, Shiv Sena, Thackeray's, Bihar. So we can find many political parties where families dominate. And this is the reason tickets are distributed to relatives from these families. And no meaningful choice to the voters. Very often elections offer little choice to ordinary citizens. Or normally, all the major political parties are quite similar to each other, whether related to policies and practice. And the smaller parties and independent candidates suffer a huge disadvantage compared to bigger parties. So, still these challenges are in India, but also in many established democracies. And these deeper issues are a matter of concern for those who believe in democracy. And that is the reason citizens, social activists, and organizations demanding more reforms in the electoral systems. So now this is the end of the chapter, but some keywords are also there for your reference. That is booth capturing, that is use of muscle power, code of conduct, rules and regulations during election times. Next, constituencies, geographical area for the election purpose. Incumbent means the current holder of a political office.